Right now, people are spending, billions of dollars a year inside digital taxis that don't actually own a single real-world car.
Yeah, it's wild when you step back and look at it.
Right, just think about that for a second. How did tapping a piece of glass replace a century-old, hyper-regulated transportation industry?
It's completely shifted the paradigm.
Exactly. We just stand on a sidewalk, stare at a tiny digital car inching down a digital map, and we just take the entire invisible infrastructure making that happen completely for granted.
Oh, absolutely.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to actually build that whole system from the ground up?
I mean, it is a massive undertaking. The sheer volume of data moving in the background of just that one screen tap is, well, it's staggering.
Because it's not just a map, right?
No, not at all. You have real-time geolocation, pinging every single second, simultaneous financial processing, driver matching algorithms, and it's all executing in milliseconds.
And today, we are going to look under the hood of that exact digital engine. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
We've been looking through this incredibly detailed breakdown from Enatega, which is a software development company.
Yeah, they published a really fascinating blueprint.
They did. It's all about how to launch a white label taxi booking platform using something called a curbcloneapp.
Which is a very specific type of software.
Right. So the mission today is to demystify the tech, the strategy, and the literal price tag behind creating a transportation empire straight from your laptop.
It's totally doable now, which is crazy.
Okay, let's unpack this because the financial pie we are talking about here is just massive.
Oh, yeah.
The Enatega article projects the global taxi market is on track to hit $120.89 billion by 2027.
Which, completely explains the gold rush mentality we are seeing right now. I mean, it is a 12.3% compound annual growth rate.
That's a huge number.
It really is. Startups, existing local fleets, even just ambitious tech entrepreneurs, they're all staring at that $120 billion projection and trying to figure out how to capture just a fraction of a percent of it in their own city.
Even a fraction is life-changing money.
Exactly. But the barrier to entry used to be pretty much insurmountable.
Because of the tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building a complex, real-time infrastructure from scratch, it would take years. And you'd need an absolute army of engineers.
Right, which most people don't have.
No, of course not. And that is exactly where this clone and white label technology completely fractures the old business model.
Let's actually define those terms for a second, because, I don't know, curb clone sounds like some sort of sci-fi duplication device to me.
Yeah, it does sound a bit futuristic.
But from what I understand from the source, a clone app is essentially just a ready-made software script, right?
Yeah, that's the core of it.
Like, is designed to intentionally replicate the features and the functionality of an already successful app like Curb or Uber.
Spot on.
And then the white label part, that just means the developers sell you this blank functional software, and you slap your own logo, your own color scheme, and your brand name on it.
That captures the mechanics of it perfectly. And what's fascinating here is how this alters the competitive baseline of the entire transportation industry.
How so?
Well, think about a decade ago. A local taxi company competed by, having the cleanest cars or maybe the most recognizable yellow paint on the street.
Right. Or a catchy phone number.
Exactly. But today, the competitive baseline is purely digital access.
If you're not on my phone, you don't exist.
That's it. If a legacy taxi company does not have an app on your phone, they are functionally invisible to an entire generation of consumers.
Wow, yeah.
So this clone technology, it acts as an instant digital lifeline for those legacy businesses. It gives them the tech tools to fight back against the Silicon Valley giants.
I look at it a lot like residential construction.
Okay, how so?
Using a clone app is basically buying a pre-built modular house frame.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Right. So instead of going out surveying the land, pouring a custom concrete foundation, and framing every single wall yourself over the course of a year.
Which sounds exhausting.
Totally. Instead of doing all that, a flatbed truck just drops off the fundamental structure.
The walls are already up.
Exactly. The GPS routing plumbing is already piped in. The payment gateway electrical wiring is already installed.
That's a great analogy.
You still have to paint the walls, put up your specific branding, and, actually move your business inside. But the grueling heavy lifting is completely done for you.
And that modular approach appeals to a very diverse set of operators. The force actually breaks down exactly who is buying these clone scripts.
It's not just the old school taxi companies, right?
No, not at all. It's fleet owners who want to eliminate the human error of dispatching rides over a radio.
Oh, sure.
It is municipal transportation services. And it is completely green entrepreneurs who just see a gap in their local market and want to launch a ride-hailing business.
Without spending 3 years in software development hell.
Oh, exactly.
But
Yeah.
once one of those entrepreneurs decides to use a clone app, they hit an immediate fork in the road, right?
They do, a very big one.
And this choice dictates the trajectory, the risk, and basically the ceiling of their entire business. Do they buy the app ready-made straight off the shelf, or do they commission a custom-built version of it?
It is the single most consequential trade-off they will make. The Enatega breakdown provides a really stark comparison here.
Let's get into that.
So let us examine the ready-made route first. The appeal is almost entirely driven by speed and cost mitigation.
Because it's fast.
Very fast. You can buy a ready-made script and launch it in a matter of days or weeks. And it is highly affordable.
Okay.
For a lean startup operating on a shoestring budget, it is the fastest way to get a functional product into the hands of real users.
Hold on, I have to push back on this ready-made option on behalf of anyone listening right now.
Sure, go for it.
The article mentions that with the ready-made version, you have limited customization, moderate scalability, and crucially, you only have partial ownership of the platform.
Yeah, that is the catch.
You have to rely on the vendor for updates.
So aren't I basically building my business on rented land at that point?
Yes.
Like if I spend 2 years building a local brand and my software vendor just goes bankrupt, does my entire company just evaporate overnight?
That is a massive hidden risk, and it is a very real scenario. You are absolutely building on rented land.
So why do it?
However, you have to look at this from the perspective of an early-stage founder. If you have, say, $50,000 to your name, your immediate goal is not protecting a hypothetical 10-year empire.
True.
Your immediate goal is proving the concept. You have to prove that people in your specific mid-sized city actually want this service.
You just need to get the doors open.
Right. The ready-made option provides a low-barrier entry point to test market viability before you sink massive capital into development.
Get in, prove the demand exists, and basically just survive the first year.
Survival is everything early on.
Yeah.
But if you are already an established regional fleet, or you have a highly unique business model,
Like what?
say an all-electric fleet catering to corporate clients.
Oh, those off-the-shelf limitations will totally suffocate you. That is where the custom-built clone becomes necessary.
Because you need it tailored.
Exactly. You are still using the core clone blueprint, but developers are building it specifically for your servers.
Which takes longer.
It takes months instead of days. It requires a significantly higher capital investment. But, and this is the key, you gain high scalability.
Okay, that makes sense.
If your user base jumps from 1,000 to 50,000 in a single month, the architecture won't collapse. And, addressing your exact concern earlier, you secure full ownership of the source code and the intellectual property.
So it is a classic business lifecycle dilemma. You use the ready-made version to aggressively prove the concept, but you eventually need a custom build to protect and scale the empire.
That's the playbook, yeah.
But let's actually look at the software itself, because whether it is ready-made or custom, this software has a brutal job.
Brutal is the right word.
It has to serve 3 entirely different groups of people at the exact same time, and every single group has completely different demands.
The architecture is inherently multi-sided. If you build a flawless experience for the rider, but a frustrating one for the driver,
It all falls apart.
the entire ecosystem collapses within weeks.
Here's where it gets really interesting. When I was reading through the feature requirements for these 3 groups in the article, it struck me that the whole system mechanics mirror a massive high-end restaurant.
Oh, interesting. Let's explore that. How does the data flow mirror a restaurant?
Okay, so think about the passenger app. This is the dining room.
Okay.
The psychology here is all about comfort, transparency, and reducing friction.
Right.
The passenger app requires multi-language support, so anyone sitting at the table can read the menu. It needs SOS safety features, which function kind of like a discrete bouncer for security.
Nice.
It demands flexible payments, credit cards, mobile wallets, cash, because when the meal is over, nobody wants to struggle to pay the bill.
That's the worst.
But most importantly, it needs transparent fare estimation and live driver tracking.
Which targets the core anxiety of ride-hailing. The passenger is inherently in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, just standing outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were waiting on a street corner, often at night. If the app just says, "Car coming soon," anxiety spikes.
You're just left wondering.
But by showing a real-time moving map and a guaranteed upfront price, the software artificially engineers trust.
Exactly. The dining room has to feel safe and predictable, but then you look at the driver app.
The kitchen.
Yes, this is the kitchen staff. And the psychology here is totally different. It is chaotic, it is fast-paced, and it requires ruthless efficiency.
They don't care if it's pretty.
No, the driver app isn't about looking pretty at all. It is about pure utility. It needs rigorous document verification, basically making sure the chefs are actually certified.
Right.
It needs instant trip alerts that punch through the noise so a driver can accept or decline a ride in literally 2 seconds. And it has an availability toggle to jump on and off shift.
And you will notice the driver app relies heavily on financial gamification.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it includes a dedicated earnings dashboard. Drivers can track their daily, weekly, and monthly financial goals in real time.
Oh, like a progress bar.
Yes. If the app tells them they're only $20 away from their weekend target, they are highly likely to stay on the road for 1 more hour.
Which benefits the app.
Immensely. That feature is purely about operational retention. If the kitchen tools are buggy, if the Google Maps integration lags, or the earnings don't update instantly, the drivers will simply log out and open a competitor's app.
Which brings us to the third piece of the puzzle, the admin dashboard.
The most powerful piece.
This isn't the dining room or the kitchen. This is the restaurant manager sitting in a back office with a literal God mode view of the entire city's operation.
It functions as the central nervous system. The admin isn't hailing rides or driving cars. They are monitoring the health of the entire ecosystem.
And the tools they have are just wild. They handle driver verification and can instantly block suspicious user accounts.
Very important for safety.
Yeah. They have ride monitoring tools to intervene if a trip goes off-road or gets mysteriously canceled. But the absolute superpower of the admin dashboard is fare management.
Fare management is the economic engine. This is where the admin dictates the pricing logic based on vehicle category and distance.
And surge pricing, right?
Yes, the crucial mechanism here is dynamic surge pricing. It is how you solve the fundamental problem of supply and demand in a physical space.
How does that actually work on the back end? Like, how does the admin dashboard know to charge me triple when it is pouring rain?
The system constantly monitors the ratio of open passenger request to available drivers in a specific geofenced grid on the map.
Okay, so a specific neighborhood.
Exactly. Let's say a concert just ended downtown. Suddenly, there are 500 people opening the passenger app, but there are only 50 drivers currently in that grid.
A huge imbalance.
Right. The admin dashboard's algorithm detects that imbalance instantly. It automatically triggers a surge multiplier, maybe 2x or 3x the normal fare.
Which does 2 things at once, right? It prices out some of the passengers so the demand drops down, but it also sends a push notification to drivers out in the suburbs saying, hey, you can make double money if you drive downtown right now.
That is exactly the mechanism. It uses a price lever to physically move vehicles across a city.
That's incredible.
The manager in the back room is manipulating the flow of traffic to keep the whole restaurant from collapsing under a Friday night dinner rush.
Yeah.
It is a highly complex, closed-loop ecosystem.
Passengers rate drivers, drivers rate passengers, the admin monitors all the data.
Precisely.
But mapping out that ecosystem on paper is entirely different from actually writing the code and getting it onto someone's phone.
Oh, entirely different.
So how does an entrepreneur take this clone concept and turn it into a living, breathing business? And, what is the final bill actually going to look like?
That's the million-dollar question.
The Enatega breakdown walks through a 7-step development roadmap, and it is far more involved than just buy the script and hit launch.
It has to be.
Yeah.
You cannot just deploy software into the physical world without preparing for the physical friction.
Exactly. The roadmap starts with intense market research. You aren't just looking to see if Uber is already in your city. You have to analyze local municipal transportation laws.
Which vary wildly.
Right. A ride-hailing startup in New York City deals with a heavily guarded medallion system and totally different legal liabilities than someone launching a niche taxi app in a mid-sized town in Europe.
Local regulations can kill an app before a single line of code is written.
So true.
You also have to define your business model early on. Most clone scripts default to taking a commission on every ride.
Which is the Uber model.
Right. But maybe your market research shows drivers in your city are tired of losing 20% of their fare.
So what do you do?
So you might pivot and charge drivers a flat monthly subscription fee to use your platform, letting them keep 100% of their fares.
Oh, that's clever.
It is, but that business model completely changes how the back-end code has to be written.
Which leads right into step 4, the actual technology, what the industry calls the tech stack.
Yes.
And the article lists some pretty heavy-hitting frameworks here. For the front end, which is the interface the user interacts with, they highlight React Native or Flutter.
Both very solid.
And for the back end, you see Node.js, Laravel, or Django.
Let's demystify why those specific tools matter, because you can't just use standard website technology to build a ride-hailing app.
Why not?
Take the backend, for example. The source mentions Node.js. Node.js is incredibly popular for this specific industry because it uses an event-driven, non-blocking architecture.
Okay, translate that for me. What does non-blocking mean in the context of me just trying to get a cab?
Okay, imagine a traditional website server, like a single checkout clerk at a grocery store.
Okay.
If one customer is taking a long time to pay, the entire line behind them stops. It is blocked.
Right, everyone's just stuck waiting.
Now, imagine thousands of drivers' phones all pinging the server at the exact same second with their GPS coordinates.
Oh, wow.
A traditional server would completely freeze trying to process them sequentially. But Node.js doesn't wait in line. It can handle thousands of simultaneous real-time data connections at once.
So it's like having 1,000 cashiers.
Exactly. It is what allows the little car icon on your phone to move smoothly across the map without the app crashing.
That makes a ton of sense. You are building an infrastructure that has to basically thrive in chaos.
Yes, managed chaos.
And that brings us to the testing phase. The article emphasizes that you aren't just testing to see if the buttons change color when you tap them.
No, that's the easy part.
You have to stress test the server load. You have to literally simulate that Friday night rainstorm where 10,000 people open the app at once.
Because if you don't,
If your cloud servers from AWS or Google Cloud aren't configured properly, your system just goes dark during your most profitable hour.
and beyond stress testing, you have rigorous data encryption testing.
Right, the security side.
You are handling live credit card data, home addresses, and real-time physical locations. A data breach in this industry doesn't just lose money, it creates massive physical security liabilities.
That is terrifying to think about.
It's a huge responsibility.
So after the research, the custom features, the tech stack, the stress testing, and finally getting approved by the App Store, we reach the toll booth at the end of this journey.
The cost.
The cost. The Enatega article pulls the curtain back on the pricing, and the range is shockingly wide. It states a basic app starts around $40,000.
Okay.
But a fully custom advanced platform can easily exceed $300,000. And that doesn't even factor in the ongoing server hosting or marketing costs.
It is a massive chasm. $260,000 is the difference between a small business loan and needing venture capital funding.
So what does this all mean? How does an entrepreneur know where they are going to land on that massive spectrum?
If we connect this to the bigger picture we discussed earlier, that price variation is the direct consequence of the choices made around the tech stack and the ready-made versus custom decision.
Right.
If you spend $40,000, you are buying the off-the-shelf clone.
The modular home with standard laminate countertop.
Precisely. Your backend might be hosted on a cheaper shared server. Your map functionality might use less precise, cheaper third-party APIs, which are just the bridges that let your app talk to external map data.
It works, but it's nothing special.
It works, but it is standard issue. However, when you push toward that $300,000 mark, you're paying for relentless horsepower and unique intellectual property.
You're paying for the Node.js architecture that won't crash on New Year's Eve.
Exactly. You're paying for premium enterprise tier AWS server hosting. You are integrating custom AI algorithms that don't just react to surge pricing, but predict it based on historical weather patterns.
Oh, that's next level.
You are paying top-tier developers to ensure your React Native front end feels incredibly fluid and premium on both an iPhone and an Android. You are paying for the security, the scalability, and the absolute ownership of a bespoke digital infrastructure.
It really is a fascinating digital ecosystem. I mean, the amount of thought that goes into balancing the psychology of the rider, the financial motivation of the driver, and the raw computing power of the server is just incredible.
It's a modern marvel, honestly.
So to bring this all together for you listening, what we have extracted from this deep dive into Enatega's breakdown is that launching a ride-hailing empire today is fundamentally different than it was a decade ago.
Entirely.
It is no longer about sitting in a room and inventing a brand new way for phones to communicate with cars. The technology already exists. The blueprints are readily available.
They're right there.
The modern challenge is smartly utilizing those existing clone blueprints, deploying the right tech stack for your specific budget, and engineering a bulletproof business model to capture a slice of a $120 billion market.
It represents a profound democratization of software. And this raises an important question, one that I think dictates who will actually survive in this newly leveled playing field.
What was question?
If the underlying technology to build a ride-hailing app is now readily accessible, meaning literally anyone with $40,000 and a business plan can buy a clone script, connect it to the cloud, and launch a localized Uber competitor tomorrow,
Right.
then the technology itself is no longer the competitive moat. It is just the entry ticket.
Wow, yeah.
So if the complex code has just become a commodity you can buy off a shelf, how do you win the real battle for user trust and driver loyalty in your city?